Hey guys, Nick from Long Island Wargaming, bringing you a battle report versus my cousin, who is actually on leave with the armed forces. He's home from Germany, so we're going to play our original armies, Dwarves versus Dark Elves. Kris started with Dark Elves, I started with Dwarves way back when, so we decided for good old time's sake we'd pull out our old armies and play those. It's 1250 pitch battle, and yeah, there we go. Alright, so here's our terrain. We had two buildings. Those are the ones closest to the center. And then that hill in the middle is the Anvil of Vol. To the right is an Arcane Ruins. And then the top building, top center, is actually a Dwarf Brewhouse, which Kris got to pick sides, so he was lucky enough to pick that side. So my guys weren't all stupid and stubborn and unbreakable in that corner. So that worked out well for him. And then to go through Kris's army, we had some fast cavalry, a Cold One chariot, two bolt throwers, a unit of warriors in between the repeater bolt throwers, some expo men in front of the building, and then behind them Eternal Guard. I believe that's what they're called. They're the Dark Elves with halberds. He had two heroes. They were nobles, or whatever they're called for the Dark Elves. They're just a regular hero. One in the warrior unit and one in the Eternal Guard. And then for the dwarf side, I, from left to right, have some iron breakers. I have Dwarf Lord on shield bearers, and two pieces of artillery, bolt thrower and organ gun, some hammers, some warriors, some gunmen, and then the Lord's all the way over there to the end because that's where I'm suspecting his Eternal Guard to come out, so hopefully the iron breakers can take them on, no problem. Alright, so Kris got first turn, so he just shuffled up everything. The crossbowmen took the building, and as suspected, the Eternal Guard started making their way around the building. He did a bunch of shooting. His first turn of shooting actually was terrible. Oh, and I forgot there was a vanguard, so these guys got up real close real quick. So he didn't do too well in his shooting phase, but for my turn, I just didn't move anything except the gunmen. For the most part, I wanted to get them into the building so they had some extra cover. And this way they had a 360 view for shooting. So the Thunderers are in a good position now. And the organ gun did 3 wounds to the chariot, if I remember correctly. And the bolt thrower, I believe, missed the chariot, so it didn't do too much damage. But yep, so Dark Elf turn now. He pretty much moves everything up as fastly as he can. The Dark Riders are around the side now, just popping some shots. Kris's shooting phase was actually super successful with his repeater bolt throwers and his crossbowmen and whatnot. He was able to kill, I believe, like 10 hammers, which is 2/3 of the unit. So even I didn't give him shields, unfortunately. Looking back at this list, maybe I should have had more hammers and less iron breakers. I don't know. This was just a quick fun game, but more hammers would have been better, or perhaps investing in some shields, because I forgot. Repeater crossbows have that armor piercing, which is pretty annoying. So he was just taking multiple shots with his repeater crossbowmen and scoring a lot of effective hits. So that was pretty good for Kris. And let's see. So he moved up, took all of his shots. So then in my turn, decided to make things interesting. Instead of shooting with my organ gun on the Eternal Guard, which maybe should have been a better idea, I decided to charge the Eternal Guard. And as you can see there, I needed an 8. And I ended up making it. To my surprise, I thought I was going to fail, but oh well, they get in, and we'll see how that goes. During my shooting phase, the Thunderers were able to finish off the chariot, which is good. Organ gun took out some more warriors. The bolt thrower took out some more warriors. Wasn't too upset about the Eternal Guard being back there. I forget how effective the crossbowmen, the repeater crossbows are for the Dark Elves, but honestly, with the heavy armor and the shield, I wasn't too worried with a couple shots getting through, but I think his next turn he even got some more. So, all right, well, whatever. But with combat, my dwarf lord had always strike first, +1 strength, and fire attacks. The fire attacks were in case we had some hydras on the field, or one hydra at this point's cost, but that didn't seem to be helpful. But his lord issued a challenge, so I decided to accept with my champion just to play it safe. And he killed my champion, and then my lord killed a couple dark elves with his always strike first, and then for some reason I failed all my armor saves. He killed a handful of, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He killed 5. He killed 5 iron breakers. I killed altogether 4 eternal guard, and I actually lost combat by 1 or 2. So leadership 10 I lost by, I believe it was 2, so I need to roll 8 or lower, which really isn't a big deal. So even with my charges and whatnot, I still ended up managing to lose, which was pretty upsetting. And I actually failed a leadership 8 roll. So I fled. He didn't catch me, thankfully. But that was pretty disappointing. Yeah, I mean, Ironbreakers are usually pretty decent in armor saves and combat, but it kind of failed me here. But then again, I haven't played Dwarves in a while, and maybe the better bet was just taking a crapload of hammers instead of 2 different units of special. But whatever, it's a fun game either way. And into the next turn, he chased my Ironbreakers down. Dwarves fleeing at -1 was just pretty bad, but oh well. And that was really it for his moving. He moved up his warrior a little bit more. The Dark Riders, or maybe the crossbowmen from the building that are all the way back there, or the repeated crossbows, whichever, finished off some more hammers, so I just had 2 sitting there, and then at some point he just erased the rest of them with whatever remaining shooting he had, so that was a waste of, I don't know, 200 points or something, so oops. And I really think what I did with them, I was just expecting a Hydra for some reason, so I figured throwing a bunch of hammers and a Dwarf Lord with fire attacks into a Hydra with them being stubborn and whatnot, but that wasn't the case, so I had to adjust my playstyle and essentially made no use of the hammers whatsoever. Yeah, so a couple more shots at the warriors, and then, yeah, in my turn, just did some more shooting with my weaponry as much as I could. And the Thunderers, but the Thunderers and the Organ Gun together were able to wipe out a good chunk of the warriors, probably about half, or maybe a little bit more than half. Maybe they killed about 11, so by the time they ran in, there wasn't as many of them. So that's what happened in Kris's next turn. He ran the warriors in, he was destroying the siege weaponry, overrunning into them. But Kris actually made a bunch of parry saves, because since he didn't need the spears now, he was using hand weapon shield with his 2 ranks, so that was annoying. But my warriors stood for a little while. At this point, we were just playing for shits and giggles, so as you could tell, the Dark Riders actually took a couple casualties and turned and ran, because at one point I actually won combat, which was pretty cool, but by the time the Eternal Guard got there, that was it. So this is a quick battle report. This was for fun. Wanted to showcase some old game, like an old style game of how we used to play in 7th edition, but it was just good to have my cousin home so we could play a good old game. So thanks for watching, and tune in for some more battle reports. Thanks, guys.